Phillies are hot. That is right. The Phillies are hot. 4-0 to start the year and a big comeback win last night for the Phillies against Jacob deGrom and the Mets. Well, really not Jacob deGrom. He was really good. Yeah. He was awesome. Sometimes a bullpen might blow it. And right here on Pine Tar for Breakfast, we're going to talk to the bench coach, Rob Thompson, joining me right here on Pine Tar for Breakfast.
In the air to left field, going back on it. It is gone! Kevin Franzen sends everybody home. Ball there.
Coming down. What up, and welcome to another episode of Pine Tar for Breakfast. I am your host, Kevin Franzen, at Kevin Franzen on Twitter. Awesome. Yeah, that's how you start out the season, 4-0. 158 to go. I get it. But there's so much to unravel with this team so far. One homer. Andrew Knapp is the only one to have homered. And I think when you think of this offense, you think of a big, strong, powerful, extra base hitting team. And right now, they are grinding away at bats and finding a way to win ball games. Now, to win those ball games, you also have to put up some zeros. So the pitching has been fantastic. The bullpen has been exceptional. What Brandon Kintzler did last night on the, coming in and out of the pen. Can't remember the last time he came out in the fourth. And he did, bases loaded, and he gets a ground ball double play right away from Kevin Pillar. And to me, I said it at the moment, it's the biggest play of the game right there. You watch. Brandon Kintzler is the player of the game because of that pitch. So many times that we've seen in the last couple of years, like it just comes in. It's like, not my run. Don't worry about it. No, it mattered. And the execution of a 90-mile-an-hour sinker down in the zone, knee-high to Kevin Pillar, rolled into the double play. They don't have a chance, in my mind, if there's runs scored in that situation. There weren't, and guess what? Phillies end up coming back and winning. So to a 4-0 start, let's kick this off. The bench coach of the Philadelphia Phillies, Canadian Hall of Famer, Rob Thompson. Toms, what's up?
How you doing, Kevin? Good to hear from you.
You know what? After all the excruciating losses last year as a broadcaster, and it's not anything close to being in the dugout, to have the first four games play out the way they have, it's very refreshing.
Yeah, it is, but they did a nice job. The front office did a nice job upgrading our bullpen, obviously, and I like our 4 and 5 guys, Matt Moore and Chase Anderson, and so that we've got a lot of upgrades, and I know it's early, but I really like the makeup of this club. That in the series against Atlanta, we were never behind in that series, and then all of a sudden we're behind last night, and it was nice to see how the club responded, and it just 4 really good wins.
Well, when you go up against a guy that's, 2-time Cy Young Award winner, Jacob deGrom, who's 98 to 102 last night, pretty much four-seam fastball slider, doesn't even bring in his curveball changeup. What was it like in the dugout? I mean, I've been in plenty of dugouts being dominated by someone, but when they get taken out, there's a breath of fresh air. There's something that's going on, but it seemed like you guys were in it the whole time, no matter if he was in the game or not.
Yeah, and I thought overall we had. I mean, his stuff is electric, and he's really something. But I thought overall we had some pretty good at bats, and we actually squared up a couple of balls on him. So we kept it right there. Matty Moore did well. He walked a couple of guys that I'm sure he'd like to get back, but Kintzler came in and got the double play, so we kept it at 2. And you always think, okay, a walk and somebody runs into one, or a bloop and a blast, whatever you want to call it. So you always feel like you're in it. And then, and I understand why, Louis was hesitant to send Jacob back out there for the 7th. He hadn't pitched in 10 days, hadn't seen hitters, and so I get that. And I try not to manage other teams' clubs, but yeah, when once you get that guy out, and their bullpen's good too.
Oh,
They got
yeah.
good arms down there. But once you get DeGrom out, then you kind of feel a lot better
Well,
for sure.
you brought up the point. Like it'd been 10 days since he had thrown. I mean, you're looking at the same thing for their relievers as well. So you could talk
Right?
about all the bullpens, all the simulated games that they had, but
Yeah,
I'm going to be honest, they're the ones that you're more worried about because that's you better be ready from the get go. Like Jacob
yeah,
DeGrom, he could find a rhythm at some point
yeah.
as a starting pitcher, but for that Mets bullpen, I mean, it wasn't a surefire thing yesterday.
No, no, that's for sure. And it's tough when you don't see hitters. And like you said, you can do all the bullpens and whatnot, but if you're not facing hitters and with high intensity, then it can be difficult on you. And I was so happy with Brandon Kinsler and
Yeah.
Coonrod last night because they hadn't seen hitters in a week either, and they did. They really did a great job.
Well, I was going to ask you about Kinsler because was a huge fan, and I thought like last year when he was with the Marlins, he gave them an attitude, a desire, like there was a desire, right? It wasn't just like, oh, we're just the Marlins. It was like, no, we are the Marlins, and we're going to come in.
Yeah.
Like he gave that attitude, right? Well, now you have a guy that had 12 saves last year, comes into a situation where he didn't pitch in the first weekend because wasn't needed, wasn't the situations for him, but it's the embrace. I guess you could say the embrace of the fourth inning role that he came in on and the intent, the ground ball. I mean, the misses that he had just off the plate were down at the knees to Kevin Pillar, but he runs one right back at 90, sink, gets the ground ball double play. What can you say about a guy like that where he, has the role of closer for a good amount of time in the last few years, but comes in, wins a job, and accepts where he's going to be at?
Yeah, that's a special guy right there, and the experience factor, and he's not afraid. He's been in those big spots before, and really, I mean, that was kind of even though it was the fourth inning, it was kind of the perfect spot for him because he's come into that situation so many times in the past, being at the back end of a bullpen, and we're certainly not afraid that to use him back there. So. He's just a great addition, and he's great for that bullpen. Like you said, he comes out there and he's got kind of an attitude, in a good way.
That's the attitude you need.
He's kind of like, let's go, boys. We got to get outs, and we're going to attack the zone, and we're going to attack these hitters, and I like that, and it feeds off on everybody. Just the way he goes about his business.
Through all your years of managing, being bench coach, their base coach, all throughout baseball, playing, who does Brandon Kinsler remind you of? Is there anybody that stands out to you?
Paul Quantrill.
Ooh.
Yeah. Paul Quantrill had that attitude, that fierceness about him, kind of saltiness about him. And he didn't care if he had his good stuff, bad stuff. He believed that he was going to get you out at any time. And that's what Kins kind of gives us. And like I said, everybody else picks up on it and everybody else feeds off of it.
Oh, I mean, we feed off of it.
Yeah.
Because he had there was an article with Matt Gelb earlier, and he's like, "Can I cuss?" He was like, "All right," and he just kind of, but you can feel like through the words, you knew it wasn't fake, right?
Yeah.
It was a genuine, like when you called it saltiness. It's truth. There's good salt and there's bad salt. That's good salt.
Yeah, that's right. He is.
When I mean, look. For me, I would love to ask Joe, and so I'm going to ask you because you're his right-hand man and you know him better than most. Sweeping the Braves is such a big thing, but what was more important, the sweep or the bullpen to get off to the start they have so far?
Yeah, I think that getting that bullpen off on the right track. We hit one home run in that series. And it was Andrew,
if anyone had Andrew Knapp as number one on there, that's a lot of money right there.
Knapp's got a lot of power, but we've got so many guys in the lineup that can put the ball in the seats. And so to win those 3 games based on pitching and defense and some timely hitting, and In game one, JT moves Harper over to third base in the 10th inning, and Segura gets a ground ball over the third baseman's head. Just doing all those little things, and we talked about a lot in spring training. Just doing the little things create big things.
Yep.
And I think it was game 2, we had a 3-run inning, and it all started with 2 outs and 2 strikes, nobody on. Segura gets a base hit. Quinney gets hit by a pitch. Wheeler gets a base hit. McCutchen walk, and Hoskins with a 2-strike double down the left field line, and basically that game's sort of over. And so just keep the line moving, do the little things, big things happen. It was really a good series from that standpoint, and getting the bullpen through those 3 games and with confidence. I mean, obviously we've got great arms down there, but there's still that. I'm sure going into the season, there's that stigma of, we blew all these games last year.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a big confidence boost to everybody.
No, for sure. I mean, you can erase a lot of memories with the good first month, I think, with the bullpen and the way they respond. And Harp said something, I think it was last night, right after the game, where he's like, there's the trust in others that we have as hitters. And you brought that up as far as like keeping the line moving. And someone asked me the biggest thing that I've seen since I played with Harp in 14, what do you think is the biggest change? I'm like, there is so much trust in the guy behind him. He loved the guy behind him. He knew the guy was going to get hits behind him in Washington, but it was like there's a full buy-in, right? And he doesn't have to play hero ball. Well, that was the thing. You brought up JT moving over Harp in the extra inning game, the Gene Segura 2-strike hit, the Reese 2-strike hit, but there is a belief in myself right now. There's no hero ball early. And you can't start off better than that. And having that, like the unselfish at bats. If you start out the year looking for the big hit by someone all the time, by that one guy, then who responds, right? And now you got 9 guys that have responded, it seems like.
Yeah, we got a very long lineup, and I think everybody realizes that, and everybody realizes that, hey, I don't have to be the guy to get it done every night. I just need to do what I can do what I can control, and hey, I got the confidence in the guy behind me, and if they want to pitch around me, go for it, because the guy behind me is going to get it done too. And I think there's a lot of that and a lot of confidence in that, and it makes for winning baseball. And it makes for scoring a lot of runs, and this is a high-powered offense. It hasn't shown up yet, but it will in time, and it should be a lot of fun to watch.
Well, that's what I was thinking. Is like the last couple of years, the offense has obviously been very good at times. We're not going to say all the time.
No,
and finding ways to win was always, I thought, a trouble thing for you guys, because maybe the pitching wasn't. All 3-4 phases of the game were not clicking.
Right.
And right now, pitching and defense proves that you can win. Right. Just timely offense, timely hitting, and all that stuff. With great pitching and defense, which you guys have shown, that's a recipe for a lot of W's.
Yeah, it is, because on the nights you don't hit, you got to do those little things on pitching, defense, base running, those things to create enough runs to beat the other club, and that's really how you win playoff games.
Yeah,
because in the playoffs you're not seeing 4s and 5s, you're seeing everybody's 1, 2, 3, and it's tough to score runs, and so you have to do the little things to get it done.
What has it been like for you with just the fans in the stands and not a cardboard cutout? Did you have first off, was there a cardboard cutout at all that made you feel uncomfortable, like it was staring right at you the whole time?
No, I didn't. But I'll tell you this: it's so nice to have fans in the stands. Like last night,
it got loud.
Yeah, I don't know how many, 10 or 11,000, I think they're allowed in the ballpark.
Yep.
But and I don't know what they gave out, whether they're towels or T-shirts or something, but they were all twirling as we were rallying there in the 8th. they're all twirling them, and then in the ninth when Alvarado went out there, and it was really exciting, and I'm so happy that there's actually people in the stadium now.
Well, because you guys aren't having to create that energy, and I think that, I mean, that wears on guys, right? I mean, it probably wore on the coaching staff trying to make sure, they're professionals. I get it, but you need a little motivation at times, and the fan was always that motivation. They're always the check keepers right there, right? They make sure that the checks and balances for the team. They'll let you know when things aren't right, and when they're not there, it's trying to keep those guys locked in. How would you, if you reflected on last year and said what would be the word I'm looking for? Was there a benefit at all? Was there something that you learned about yourself as a coach that you didn't know about in motivating these guys?
I don't know. I think it was difficult last year from that standpoint, trying, because the players feed off the fans.
Mm-hmm.
And whether it's cheering or booing or whatever, they feed off the fans. So it was difficult last year to motivate players, to get them going, and I think it was difficult for everyone, not just the manager, but all the coaches too, and difficult for the players too, because it's just a natural thing that they love to perform. That's just part of the business, and performing in front of cardboard cutouts, and I don't think that's conducive to what they're using.
Did Dusty ever say anything to you? Because you're a longtime third base coach too, so you've been in the thick of things out there, the adrenaline rush as a third base coach. It gets on you, right? Like the fans can get to you in a good way and a bad way as well. But like Dusty was out there at times, I was going, man, who's talking to Dusty?
Yeah, right.
Because you have those like little, the chirps coming from the behind you.
Yeah, that's right. And if you're not scoring runs, because every team they go through stretches where they don't score runs. So you got no fans, you got no runners. You're like the Maytag repairman. You're the lonely. Yeah.
Oh, it's so good. Yeah, because I was like thinking about it, going, now who's the loneliest on the field these days? With the cardboard cutouts, and because you're trying to make things fun in a horrible time in our in our world's history, and you're just going like, man, Dusty I think Dusty thought up his whole diet for his whole offseason, like during those times, like in those quiet times on the base at third base coach.
He looks good.
Oh my God, he looks amazing. Yeah. Well, so do you.
Looks like a man. Yeah.
What's the biggest takeaway from last year that you'll always take away from your coaching career?
I think how much I appreciate the fans being in the ballpark. I think that's the biggest thing. And also I guess how much I love the freedom of being able to eat when I want, go where I want, do what I want, because it was almost like we were kind of in jail last year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a tough time, but hopefully, now we got fans in the ballpark, that helps. And hopefully, everybody starts getting these vaccines, and we can, we have a little bit more freedom to do what we need to do, because it was difficult.
Oh, so I was like, Scott and I felt like we were at a bar, which was the stadium broadcast booth.
Yeah.
Calling games off a monitor, right? So I never realized, I feel like I have a lot of energy all the time. Yeah. I was like, damn, I missed this. I missed the fan, because the first time that we see people walking in front of us the other day, we're like, this is great.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. And, the other thing about it is that I really feel kind of blessed to, so many people have lost their jobs through this thing, and family members, and knock on wood, I haven't been affected by it. But so I really feel blessed that, things have gone bad for people that have lost their jobs and lost family members. And
And-
so,
Well, I was going to say with the amount of change that has happened throughout everything, just in life, baseball's had some change too. And I don't know if you know this, but the other day we had no clue that the extra inning rule was still involved.
oh, is that right?
And so we're like, wait, we thought that was last year.
Yeah.
I should have. Love to know your take on the runner at second in extra innings.
When it first came out, I was like, we're changing the game. I'm more of a traditional guy,
Mm-hmm.
but I do believe that, I think that might be a good thing, and it brings up new strategy, which is good. And I can remember the Blue Jays a few years ago had like a 18 inning game, like the second game of the season.
And it ruined them.
That can really blow up your roster and,
Yep.
and things like that. And because you can't recall guys within the first 10 days. And so I think, I am a traditionalist, but I think I kind of like it. There's new strategy to it. And, the games aren't going to go 5 hours long, and maybe it's going to help on injuries down the road. So, I'm okay with it.
How about the fact that you talk about the, JT moving up Hart, but first hitter for the Braves with the runner on second the other day was Freddie Freeman. What do you do? You got Albies over, and you're just
Right.
going. That look, I love the game of baseball. I love the traditionalist is in me as well. I love the act of kind of giving yourself up for the betterment of the team, getting a runner at third, less than 2 outs.
Yeah.
And to see the game played like that by two of the best hitters in the game,
Yeah.
that was special. That was like one of those moments where you just kind of sit back and you're like, that was awesome. And if I could get
Yeah.
more of that, I'm in. I'm all in.
Yeah, I am too, because a lot of that strategy has gone away from the game in the last 4 or 5 years, and maybe with the implementation of this extra inning rule the last 2 years, we get back to more moving runner, get them over, get them in, bunts, sacrifices, hit and runs. Maybe that cycles back into our game, which would be good.
It would, because at the same time, like we look at, where the game has gone, all the, the strikeout, walk, hit, or home runs.
Yeah.
One of the things that stands out is still the winning team from, the world champion Dodgers last year. They might have been one of the best base running teams.
That's right.
And so, like, it's still, the game is still there, like, as far as doing the little things right. And Mookie Betts, I wish they would put it on video for kids. This is how you run the bases. This is how, you do a contact play at third. And all the years that you coached third, been involved in the game, watching from the dugout. I mean, there might not be a better base runner. And it just made it that much more apparent that, by the way, guys, this game is still the same. And it's a team that is fundamentally sound, that you are going to be, you're going to be there at the end.
Yeah. And Mookie, from the time he came up from the minor leagues, was always a great base runner. And he runs contact play as well as anybody in the game. Anybody I've seen, really.
Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, he really is. He's very heady, very instinctual, great dirt ball reads, first to third, second to home, tag at first base on deep fly balls. He's into it. And I think if you want to be a good base runner, you have to want to be a good base runner.
Yep.
You need to buy in that 90 feet is a big deal.
Man, I was a good base runner in my mind. Did you know that? In my mind. Because I thought myself of being too fast. So like I had the right plays every time. I just was not fast enough. I didn't do the Charlie Manuel. Know thyself. Hey. And to see someone with, I think that's my favorite part. My biggest appreciation for players is the fast player. The fast player that has the instincts to go along with it. Because,
right.
Like the not taking it for granted, not being like, well, I'm just fast, I'll do this. It's like doing the little things. Mookie Betts does the little things to do it.
Yeah.
And you're like, man. Like I find it fascinating with him.
Yeah, he's a really good player. no question about it.
When you look at a couple things with this team, what is your biggest concerns going forward? What are your biggest of this team and its makeup as we go forward?
Well, I think my biggest concern is probably a concern for every club. Really, coming off the short season last year is injuries, and not only to the pitchers but to the position players, because you add on 100 games. That's 100 games of innings on your pitching staff, and 100 games on your position players. So keeping guys healthy, giving them the right amount of rest, days off, I think is a huge factor moving forward throughout baseball. And I still think the injuries are going to spike this year, and I think it's going to filter into next year possibly. So that's my biggest concern.
Mm-hmm.
I think my biggest of this club is just the people that are in the clubhouse. I get a real sense of urgency. I get a sense that these guys want to win, and they're willing to make the commitment and make adjustments and do anything they need to do to get that done, to help their teammates, to do the little things, to create big things. I really like the makeup of this club and all the intangibles that go with these guys. So that's my biggest like.
Well, I was going to say, you've been a part of many teams, franchises that as far as, you got teams that fight and do everything, that have a desire to win. But what does it say when it looks, from our perspective up top, there's a fight for each other? And that's early. That's like, it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, and if you can see it from up top, then you if you're down in the clubhouse, you'd really be able to see it and really be able to feel it. And that's a great feeling, to know that you're with a group of people that everybody's got each other's back. Everybody's going to fight for each other. If we're in a foxhole, they're going to stick together. And, we always tell them, prepare, compete every day, and stick together. If we do that, we're going to be fine.
How amazing is it that they can see it? Because you and Joe, you've been around each other for a long time. Like, it's there too. Like with the coaching staff, like you could see it. There's a camaraderie that you guys have.
Yeah, we really do. We have a really, really tremendous coaching staff, and we all get along, number one, but we all have each other's backs. We have, I think I'm the oldest guy in the group, and I learn so much from these guys every day, because they're younger and they understand the analytics part of it a little bit better than I do, and because they kind of grew up on it. They're very innovative thinkers. They're always looking for a way to help the players get better. Endless energy, and so it just motivates me. They motivate me every day. And then you take a guy like Dusty.
Motivate you? Come on.
Well, yeah, they do, because I'm impressed by them every day. And
you are always up too, by the way.
I feel like I'm like the old guy in the back, and I need to get going, But and then we've got you take Dusty for example. I think the world of Dusty, and I think this guy's going to manage in the big leagues, and he should, because he's highly intelligent, and he knows the game. He knows how to run the game. He knows how to motivate players, get the trust of players, have relationships with players. He's just a really, really, really good coach, and I think he's going to be a really, really, really good manager at some point.
How over the in not saying this in a negative way, but over the protocols in running spring training were you? Like, because there's a lot of things that you had to weave through in scheduling, and was it one of the most difficult springs you've had to manage, or manage the schedule, or was it easier based on the fact that you had spring training 2.0 to kind of have like a idea of what could happen?
Yeah, it was. Both of them were equally difficult, just because of the fact that you had to to move people around and make sure that not too many people are in the same spot at the same time. And when you're dealing with 75 guys and coaches and trainers and strength guys and all these people, it was very difficult. It really was. But I had a lot of help. Coaches helped me a lot. Mike Calitri and Greg Brodzinski and all the coaches really, looking through schedules and kind of counting guys and making sure, we weren't overlapped someplace. But it was difficult, and it was difficult to do team defenses and team meetings and little things that you normally do in spring training as a group. So it was a little bit more difficult to do that, but we got through it, and hopefully we never have to go through it again.
Oh man, no, I'm excited for where you guys are at. Hey, before I let you go, the other day on MLB Network Radio, I was doing the show, and we were talking about like craziest things that you've seen in sport or in baseball. Your name came up in this, and it was based on the fact that there was a human being that you coached, and I don't know if you remember it, but in 2010 with the Yankees, certain someone came in to the game, 0-2 count, had to pinch hit and hit a home run. Do you remember that? If you can name the name, you win a prize.
Wow. Was it a playoff game?
No, it was. I was with the Angels, and this was a July game. Brett Gardner either got hurt or ejected. I couldn't remember. It was either or, because there was a good chance he could have gotten ejected from a was 0-2 count.
Wow.
And Scott Shields was on the mound, and the young Colin Curtis came to the plate, and he homered. Yeah, you're the third base coach, and how I remember this is A-Rod was on third, and this was the game that Jeter had come up to me and talked to me during a pitching change and asking me how everything was. Did I like it better than San Francisco? I was like, this guy knows me? Like, what the hell is going on? So I'm feeling good about myself. I go up to A-Rod. You're right there. And I'm like, what's up, man? And you're like, you started laughing. You walked out towards the outfield, and he just stone-faced me the whole time. And literally, like 2 pitches later, Colin Curtis comes in and hits a homer, pinch hit homer after being down 0-2. Like, he came into the count. Like, there's no way. I think he is the only one in the history of the game to do it.
Wow. That is.
That's I
good.
can't believe you didn't remember
I
that.
vaguely
That's special.
remember that. I vaguely remember that.
I mean, you should have remembered. It was me. I had the flowing locks. It was amazing. It was unbelievable. Well, Tom, it's been nothing but good from you, and I can't wait to see you again. But I'm glad I got a chance to talk to you, and thanks for joining me right here on Pine Talk for breakfast.
Thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it.
Oh, appreciate it. Appreciate you. I mean, if people understood that Rob Thompson was one of the best baseball people I've ever been around, I mean, it's I think, an understatement. Live, breathe, drink, eat baseball. The people that he's been around, the organizations that he's been a part of, especially with the Yankees, and how much respect he has within the Yankees organization, I think says a lot. So to get the Canadian Hall of Famer, one of my favorite people in the game, a guy that I never played for, only played against, man. But those are the things for myself. I know for many of the broadcasters we miss is being able to speak to the coaching staff and be able to have that interaction with them. And so I'm just grateful that I got the opportunity to talk to Rob Thompson. Thanks for joining me again on Pine Talk for breakfast. Until next time, peace.
Kevin France
is out of here.